First, I'd like to introduce my son Bede, very famous saint from the 8th century in northeastern England, and he's following in his footsteps, aren't you, Bede? So, a good lad. We have an interesting story as to how things came about here. This was not an immaculate plan at the front end that has just, we've followed the plan. Quite the contrary. We spent a long time looking for a property that was interesting, that was not normal. We didn't even know why at that point, and that's really, it's all sort of the interesting detail of the whole thing. There's a lower property down here that's 22 acres, and both Mary and I walked on it. There was no road access, but when we walked on it, we looked at each other and we nodded, and we bought that property. It did not fit our category of what we wanted. We were going to build a house down at the bottom, decks into the trees, extremely private, a road running down through the vineyard, a home vineyard to make some homemade wine. You know, all very nice, very good. 1 year later, we drove up here and there was a for sale sign. We followed the for sale sign all the way around and came to this upper property that you can see in this camera now. It connected to the lower property without even a fence. This was unique. We used to walk up at night and sneak views from the top. So, so much for our privacy, and in the trees we ended up building this lovely house that has 360-degree views. More importantly, it enabled us to look at this property as a proposition, a commercial proposition, somewhere where we could actually, in the end, in the long run, make a living. So we planted the vines. We were going to plant the vines in a normal manner. We were going to have trellises, we were going to have computer prongs in the ground, you name it. I'd hired a vineyard company because I was living in Orange County. We had an RV that we used to come and stay in weeks at a time at the bottom there. That's again in the back of the picture. Just before doing it, we tasted some wine in Paso Robles that was extraordinary. I found out who the wine grower and the maker was, and it was all off the same property. Head trained, dry farm, Sangiovese. I said, that's it. That's the direction we're going. Head trained. It has to happen. If it makes product like this, we have to do it. So we started planting head trained. We knew we didn't want to be chemical, so we didn't use any chemicals. We weren't sure about the organic thing because of the vagaries of organic. I bumped into a gentleman that I had met a couple of times previously who came out here who was a biodynamic consultant. I didn't know what biodynamics was. So I walked the property with him. We talked about birds, animals, trees, flowers, grasses. We hardly talked about vines, even though he is a winery consultant, a vineyard consultant. I was sold, absolutely sold. I went out and bought the book, Agriculture, the 8 lectures by Steiner, and because of those happenings, this is where we are. The movement forward did not stop there. It continues to this day. Fruit trees, nut trees, apple trees, animals. It goes on and on and on because the vistas keep opening as one keeps thinking. And that all leads into natural winemaking, and that's what we specialize in.